You see, beggars are wise, oh. Don't let anybody tell you anything, right? They are the real wise men. Or maybe it's just the beggars in Cambridge. Hi guys, this is Omoeko in the Faith, and welcome to Storytime. This is a story about a barefoot encounter, like I mean a literal barefoot encounter. A story about a spiritual veil, why so many seek knowledge, but yet they are missing the one who is wisdom himself. Um, Recently, I was on a prayer walk, right? I was on a prayer walk with my friends, and I noticed that a man was standing alone and he was barefoot. I was compelled to step aside. I was drawn to this man actually because of the fact that I was looking at him and he had no shoes. So let's call this man Lee. I approached this man, I took off my shoes. I wanted him to feel that we are equal because I really don't care about the shoes, to be honest. In fact, initially, my intention was to give him my shoes, right? That's pretty impulsive, right? Yeah, I can get like that. And I also offered him a donation on top of that. And he looked at me and quietly said, God bless you. But when I asked him, right, do you really believe that there is a God? I asked him, like, do you believe that Jesus exists? Because, I need to clarify who my God is so there's no confusion, right? But my man was like, nah, he just said it out of habit to make people feel better. And sometimes it makes him feel better. This was when a whole kind of conversations was opened. It was a conversation of deep arguments, of quoted philosophers, of questioned beliefs. It was a conversation of rational thoughts. It was a conversation that felt like some sort of fortress of intellect. And several times I had to step back within my mind a few times to ask myself, like, am I really speaking to a beggar? Because it sounded like he's read a lot of books and he was ready to defend his knowledge. But oftentimes he would project doubts. And so I see that beneath all this body of knowledge, right, that there was something that seems to be hungry within him, something that was hungry for something real, right? So, because it would often make statements, right, where he questions his own identity and he would think that animals have better lifestyle and better purpose than him. And so, isn't it astonishing that sometimes we think, the more we think, the harder we try to analyze things, to critically analyze things, we miss to see what is just right in front of us, right? It's like looking through a veil of woven threads, a veil of woven threads of doubts, of pride, and endless debate. Like, why do we need to debate about some things that is just clear to see? And Lee have sort of built up his wall of words and arguments so high that he couldn't see the God who loved him, right? And I started to think, right, you cannot teach this level of fallacy without believing in it yourself. Because it is not just the eyes of the sheep that are blind, but also the high eyes as well of the shepherd, right? So before I left Lee, I asked him that if he has ever been to a church, and he said yes. He said he has been to a church, he has done it, right? But there is no power from the altar. And right then, that was when I realized that there's something spiritual that was blocking him. Honestly, there was something spiritual. I prayed with Lee, but I didn't feel the spirit. I didn't feel any sort of firework, dramatic emotion. There was nothing I was feeling in the moment, right? And I just want to encourage people that sometimes it's not just about the big moments. I walked home barefoot, but I was just praying to God. Like, I was like, God, just lift this veil from the eyes of this man and bring light. I was praying to God that he should do the things that I could not do. Because ancient text speaks of demons and fallen angels leading people astray. The demons that have inhabit these words and is luring the hearts of people to refer to them as gods, right? And I need people to understand that this is not just superstition. There is a real spiritual battle that is keeping the eyes of people shut. I'm gonna I think I've got this one covered here. I think it's in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, right? And if we read from verse 4, it says, for the weapon of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God for pulling down strongholds. So when I saw Lee, I saw a man that was in a situation of a stronghold, right? And the Son of Man, Jesus, is described as the one that reveals the treasure of all that is hidden. And Jesus himself said that we should rejoice, that God has hidden these things from the wise and the learned, and is going to reveal to little children. And that is in Matthew chapter 11, verse 25, right? The scripture warns that the the gods of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers. That is in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, right? And permit me to extend this and say that even the believers can be blinded. So I guess this is a call to all of us, right? I know that you are wise. I know, wise man, right? I know that you've come to Europe, and it seems like all of your prayers are answered now. But we need to be careful that our pride and our intellect does not lead us away from God. But then at the same time, we need to recognize that the time and season that we are in, and people are hungry, and we find ourselves, or we come across people who want to witness God on our altar. But if they come to us, will they find the altar burning for Jesus? Me, I've said my own. Let's be wise, and until next time, let's stay echoing the faith. Bye.